Okay, so I get asked all the time, what is this thing on my wrist? And today we're going to talk about why I choose to wear the Whoop on my wrist for the last 2 years. And we'll talk about it while riding the trainer and getting a session in on Zwift. So essentially, if you're not familiar with what the Whoop is, it's basically a heart rate monitor right here. Measures your heart rate, tracks your blood oxygen level, and monitors your body temp. All right, I gotta say it, this video is not sponsored by Whoop, but it'd be cool if it was. So this video is a follow-up to a video I made about 2 years ago, when I first put this thing on my wrist. And since then, I've worn the Whoop at countless competitions and through many training blocks, including the Olympic Games, World Championships, and Pan Am Games. And over that time, it's taught me a few things. Among the many reasons of why I still choose to wear this thing, there's one that sticks out above all of them. And it's to track my HRV and track my sleep through all the training blocks and race prep. Because that's some pretty important information for us. Monitoring HRV for us is one of the #1 indicators that we use training as professional athletes and how we respond to certain training stimulus and how we progress through a block. We know from all the data we've collected over the last few years of where we need to sit when we come into race prep. And if that training's working, or if we just need to change things up. And this is the simplest way that we found to collect it on a consistent basis. We used to use an app called HRV for training, but it was a bit annoying. You need to get up, lay in bed, grab your phone, and hold your finger over the camera for a minute. Control breathing, no movement, to try and get an accurate result. This thing just has it on all the time. So the results are much more accurate. So one of the biggest metrics that we look at on Whoop is our recovery score. And in my last video, I pointed out that I wasn't using the journal feature. And that was quite to my disadvantage. I quickly changed that though. It's something where I change my questions on a monthly basis and try to understand what works and what doesn't. The possibilities on the questions are endless, and I love seeing how certain things affect my recovery. Now, I'm not going to talk about a lot of negatives in this video because I actually really do love my Whoop, and I'm still wearing it 2 years later, so it's probably a good reason of why I still have it on. So it seems like wearable tech and fitness trackers are always evolving, always changing, new ones coming out all the time. But I still choose the Whoop. I don't like wearing rings. I've tried a couple rings and they just don't really work for me that well. Whether I'm holding onto a bar in the gym or holding on my bars on the bike, the ring doesn't feel that comfortable. And I also don't want to wear an Apple Watch or a Garmin. I feel like I've got a screen on me all the time. My phone is always on me, and I don't feel a need to have another screen on my wrist. If my phone is away, I don't want text popping up on my wrist. And also, I'm not worried about breaking this thing. There's no screen on it, doesn't beep at me, doesn't vibrate on my wrist. It's sleek, it's durable, I'm not worried about scratching it. It's just on my wrist and I don't have to worry about it. It also fits well underneath the skin suits. Whatever training I'm doing, it's on my wrist. And at this point, I don't even think about it anymore. Now, I also find the Whoop incredibly easy to use and very intuitive. The app is super clean, and I've had experience with other apps that just don't really work that well. When I say I wear this Whoop all the time, I mean all the time. I don't really ever need to take it off. I don't really notice it's on my arm ever anymore. And even when it dies, I can put a battery pack on and continue on with my day. You don't need to take it off the charge, put it in a charging case, or charge it on a little charger like an Apple Watch. It really supports the whole 24/7 wearability, which I really do love. In my last video, I did complain about how I took it off to shower because I didn't like how slowly the band dried out, which brings me to my next point. The variety of bands that they have to customize your Whoop and change the color of it or get something different is endless. I switched from the basic knit to a hydro knit band right after that video, and last summer they came out with the band that I'm wearing right now, the silicone band, and this one's been on my wrist since last summer. My girlfriend Sarah also wears a Whoop and she changes her band much more often than I do, but the options that they have on their website for customizing it are endless. So I love that no matter what you're doing, you can customize the Whoop and basically make it fit whatever your style is. So as athletes, we go through many different training blocks. We prep for competition, we recover, and sometimes we get it right, and sometimes we don't. We can have a pretty good reference of what worked in the past for us, but sometimes as much as you try to replicate that, you may not get it exactly right. As me personally, an athlete that loves data, loves looking at the numbers and monitoring trends and just looking at more, the Whoop really is kind of another tool in the toolbox. And I've tried replicating preps in the past, and sometimes it just other life circumstances can be different. And that's why I kind of like to have a tool like this to help monitor some of those habits and help make some informed choices. It's really important to mention though that this doesn't paint the full picture. At the end of the day, it is just numbers and data, but you can use it as another tool. And that's why I really like it, because it's just, sometimes it's like a nice reference point. For example, I'll bring up 2 preps from last year. 1, going to Pan Am Championships in April, and 2, the Olympic Games. And both of those, I was struggling to recover. My body was tired, my HRV was low, and I wasn't sleeping. And as much as I was in my head about prepping for comp and trying to ignore all the signs, the Whoop showed the data right clear in there. And it helped just to see the numbers and help validate some things how I was feeling. But at the end of the day, it's all part of the process. So that's all I got on this one. A quick video about why I love the Whoop and why I still choose to wear it 2 years later. If you enjoyed the video or any of my other content, please consider hitting the subscribe button. You're only 15K away from that silver play button. All right, that's it. Catch you in the next one.